Hello everyone, welcome back to my first Cable Damascus knife. And in the last video we forged this, rough forge, got it pretty close to where I'm going to want it. Saw that there were a few problems with it, just with some stuff splitting. So in this video I'm going to be grinding it to shape and getting it ready for a heat treat, and probably do a test etch, just see how it looks. So first thing I'm going to do is lock this thing in the vise, get the angle grinder out and grind off all the scale and see what we're left with cracks and everything. Let's do it. So what I can see from just grinding off the scale and everything, there are some delaminations here along the spine. Looks like it runs most of the way up. I think I can grind that out. And the edge seems to be pretty good. A little bit here at the heel. And a little bit up here as well. So what I'm going to do now is take it to the belt grinder, 36 grit, get it flat, both the sides flat, and see if just doing that is enough to get these out. If it's not, I'll have to go in deeper with the angle grinder and grind them out and then flatten it again. So let's do that now. Just want to show you guys what I'm looking at here. So most of those D-lams have been ground out. The one in the tang is there a little bit still. There is still one in the edge here, just there in the center of the screen, if you can see that. But this is still really thick to grind the edge, so I'm not concerned. As well as on the flat, there are some ever so slight ones, but I think for the most part it's working out pretty well. I've got a rough distal taper ground in, then I'll be grinding these bevels in, and I'll probably take this up to 120, maybe 240 before etch, only because it's Damascus and I want to etch it before I go into the quench to make sure that there aren't any big cracks or something completely wrong with it, just so I know going into the etch that if it explodes. So I'll shoot some more time lapse of me grinding this thing down, and I'll come back to you guys when it is time for the etch. So let's get this washed and then put in the ferric chloride. So that knife's been in there for, I don't know, 5-6 minutes now. Take a look at it together. Very nice. Okay, so we can see how when it forged, it definitely didn't forge evenly and push that 5160 over. The tip doesn't seem to have any, so I might have to grind that right off the edge there. I think that looks pretty freaking nice. The thing we found out was that the high carbon 5160 didn't go all the way to the tip, so I've drawn on some lines so that I can make the whole cutting edge hardenable, and I think I messed that up from when I forged the tip. So what I should have done, if you use this as a big example of what I was forging, was holding this flat and hammer down on this side all the way back until it was a 45, squish down, and then turn this side up to forge the tip. What I did, by accident mostly, was that as I was forging this end down, this side was getting pinched, and that's normally fine if you have full high carbon the whole way through, but when it's something like this, it leads to your whole edge not being hardenable. So now I know for next time I gotta make sure I do this technique instead, and that'll make that whole edge 5160 instead of like this, where both these are getting pinched. And then now part of my edge is this back side and part of it is the front side. My plan for today is to grind down this tang to the shape I want and the size I want, make sure that it's tapered all the way down, clean up this back side. I'm going to work on fitting up a guard for it, probably go with something pretty simple just to get it to work and fit up nicely. That's mostly what I'm concerned about. Yeah, and then I'll also fit up a handle, a rough fit up a handle before I harden it, just because I'm gonna drill a hole through this so I can put a pin through, and if I harden it and then try and drill it, it might be partially hardened and my drill bit's not gonna go through. So I'm gonna get my fittings rough fit before I quench, and that's what we'll do today, so let's get to it. I've got my tang shaped the way I want it, sized anyway. It's got a taper to it, both ways, both this way and this way. And I've just rounded those corners just a little bit. My next task here is this guard. I've done just a little rough drawing to get some sort of sizing for it. So I'll probably grab a piece of that leaf spring. It's what I've used before and I've had good luck with it. The guard doesn't need to be hardened, but it's just the only thing I really have that's thick enough to do this. Cut a piece of that out, make sure it's flat, square it up on the grinder, and then I will scribe out my lines for where I want to drill the holes. So let's get doing that. After about 5 hours of filing and drilling and yada yada, I got the guard, and the next thing I want to do, get the handle ready. And what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to cut up a bit of this, glue it onto a piece of walnut to have a light and dark part of the handle. I've done it on a bunch of knives now and I really like the way it looks. Take this on the bandsaw, I'm probably going to cut it at an angle. My method of getting this tang on, I've used the way of drilling probably a 3/8 inch hole down here And then I'll put a bit of 3/8 dowel, split that, put it on here, and then put the whole thing into that hole. I could just put the tang straight in, and then the epoxy will fill it up, but this gives a bit more mechanical, solid fitment. So that's what I'll be doing now. Here's my two pieces clamped together. I'll drill the hole in this, get it nice and centered, fit up onto the knife, and yeah, thanks for watching.